Back in your life, it's the Great Canadian Fight Show, Episode 19. Chris Daukaus and Curtis Blaydes just duked it out in last weekend's UFC Fight Night, and as usual, you boys are here to talk about it. It's your main man, Alex Daukaus, reporting live from beautiful Calgary, Alberta, and joined, as always, by the brilliant, yet skeptical, Kyle Allen, my co-host. How are we doing tonight, partner?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Another decent weekend of fights, I would say. Maybe not quite as exciting as we've been blessed with recently, but still another exciting night of fights and some fights to look forward to coming up. And yeah, other than that, we're doing good. We're doing good.
Awesome. Happy to hear that, buddy. Reason why I changed it, I know you're brilliant, but reason why I threw out the skeptical, and I'm going to throw you a little curveball right off the bat here. Kyle always finds a way to think that everything is fake, starting with the slap heard around the world, Will Smith slapping the shit out of Chris Rock, and my man here thinks it's fake. Explain yourself, Kyle. Explain yourself to our fans.
I mean, just like the Tyron Woodley and Jake Paul fight, I had my skeptical hippo eyes on, but I don't know. I don't know how someone just lets, if someone's walking up to me and after you tell them a bad joke, I'm not just going to stand there with my hands behind my back. And there's some slow-mo videos of it looks like he's already bracing for the slap. So I'm a little skeptical, but maybe it's real.
Bracing for the slap. Oh, Kyle, you slay me. Let's get right into the main event, though, guys. Starting with UFC Fight Nights again, Blaydes versus Daukaus. Curtis Blaydes does his thing on Saturday night, doesn't even use the wrestling. Kyle, what impressed you the most about Mr. Blaydes on Saturday night, who finished Chris Daukaus with a TKO in round number 2?
Yeah, his power. He's hasn't KO'd too many people, or at least not recently. But definitely his power surprised me a little bit. I thought Daukaus would definitely have the advantage and clip him and potentially put him out again, but he was able to clip him and get him out of there. And also, I thought he'd be a little bit hesitant, considering he got sent into a black hole from the Black Beast just a couple of fights ago. So the power was definitely the thing that surprised me. I thought he'd just use his wrestling and take him down, and that's how he'd win. But he was able to go a different route, and he looked good.
Agreed. He looked good from start to finish. A little bit of an eye poke there in round 1. I mean, do you think that played an impact on the fight, or do you think we were kind of heading to where we ended up?
I don't think it played too much of a factor. I think it was kind of going the way it was going to go.
Yeah, I mean, hey, so I agree with you. Blaydes looked awesome, but hey, I'm gonna be a little skeptical here too, pal. We've seen this movie before with Mr. Blaydes. We've seen him just completely outclass anyone from 10 down to 5, maybe even down to 3 on. Did Blaydes do enough here to earn what he called for at the end and get that interim title shot? I mean, some people were out here yelling blasphemy. What do you think, Kyle?
Yeah, I think he's going for a little bit of a stretch there. After getting knocked to oblivion by Derek Lewis, like I said, and then getting this win over someone that Derek Lewis just knocked out recently, I don't think that quite guarantees you a interim title shot, but he's close. I think he just needs that one win over one big name guy that he just hasn't been able to pull that off. He hasn't been able to take out that one big name to kind of catapult him to the upper echelon of the heavyweight division. But I think he can definitely do it with one more win, probably.
Yeah, I totally agree. Well, you know what? Let's talk next matchups here. Let's talk fantasy matchups here for Curtis Blaydes. Again, he's coming off 2 straight wins against Jairzinho Rozenstruik and Chris Daukaus. His last loss coming against the aforementioned Derek Lewis in February of 2021. A terrible knockout. Nominated for a Golden Glove, by the way. Just thought I'd throw that out there. But what do we have next here? What's the next fight that you'd like to see for Curtis Blaydes that would really get your nipples hard here?
The one thing he mentioned that I thought he was right about is he talked about him and Cyril Gane. I think that is probably the fight to make, considering it looks like Tuivasa and Aspinall and Miocic all might have fights, especially if John Jones comes back. So I think that makes perfect sense. And it's a very good matchup. They both have good, decent striking. But then again, you saw Cyril Gane's weakness on the ground, so that might favor Curtis Blaydes a little bit. So I like that matchup. I think it's a good rebound fight for Cyril Gahn and a very good test for Curtis Blaydes.
How do you think he'd fare against recent flash in the pan Tai Tuivasa?
I think, yeah, if he uses wrestling, I think he could definitely win that matchup. I don't know if I'd favor him versus Aspinall. The way Aspinall looked, I think Aspinall might have the edge on him. But again, I really like the Gone matchup. I feel like that's probably the fight to make. And I'm going to call it here. I think that's going to be my great Canadian fight coming up. Calling it here today. I think it happens.
Oh, no, he didn't, folks. Kyle doesn't do these very often. So when he does it, you better shoot for the moon. This is happening next, folks. We like it. But in every fight, Kyle, there's a winner and there's also a loser. So we got to talk about Chris Daukaus. The thing that I was excited to get your opinion on this show, I was a bit surprised when this fight was originally booked. I mean, Chris Daukaus, folks, for those of you who aren't aware, 3 months to the day was knocked out pretty severely by Derek Lewis in the first round. Took the fight right away against another hard hitter in the heavyweight division. I mean, do you think it was a mistake to take this fight for Chris Daukaus? Because personally, I think it was.
For me personally, I like to see fighters that get KO'd or knocked out. I like them to take quite a bit of time off. I feel like the brain, especially a KO like that against someone like Derek Lewis, like you see how long Curtis Blaydes took off. I think when he fought Derek Lewis, how long was that? At least like 9 months ago, 8 months ago, something like that.
It was in February of 2021.
Yeah, so I think a big time off for a knockout like that is smart, and
yeah,
he jumped back into it and he saw the results. So I don't know if that played a big factor, but I think it definitely played somewhat of a factor in that for sure.
To strengthen your argument, you're right. Curtis Blaydes got knocked out in February of 2021 and held out until September of 2021 before fighting Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Again, much more fresh. I totally agree. I thought it was a mistake. I thought the UFC could have given him someone like Augusto Sakai. No offense to Augusto Sakai. My pick in the past, by the way, but he's become a can and someone that heavyweights can really knock over and get themselves back on a winning streak. I would have liked to see that because you have to think it's nothing but top 10 opponents out from now on out for Chris Daukaus. I mean, wouldn't you say it's hard for him to go to an unranked fighter now?
Yeah, I would say so. One thing I forget, I think Curtis Blaydes in the post-fight, he mentioned that he thinks Chris Daukaus should drop down to light heavyweight. And I think that might not be a bad move. I think he carries a little bit of excess body fat. He's a smaller heavyweight. And some of these guys, all they really need to do is just get in better shape, and they could probably make the 205 limit.
Yeah, he's definitely a small heavyweight. I mean, I just looked up his height and weight. He's weighing in on the Wikipedia page for what that's worth, people. 6'3", 243. So he definitely have to make some lifestyle changes to get down to 205, unless he does it like DC and leans on the old towel, you know. But yeah, I mean, I've been wanting to see that for a while. I mean, that's my next question. What do you personally think, Kyle? Do you think this is the last that we've seen of Mr. Chris Daukaus, the former cop at heavyweight?
Possibly. It depends. I know some of these guys, they just maybe they like to eat. I like to eat, so if I was a fighter, I'd probably want to be my heaviest I could be. But I think it's a good move for him to drop down, and it's also a good argument for having more weight divisions. I don't see why they couldn't have like a 215 weight division, and then have heavyweight maybe 235 to 265 or something like that. But have just a couple more divisions that would make some of these a little bit smaller heavyweights be able to make it down to slightly lower division, and maybe do some work and make it easier for them.
Great suggestions there, Kyle. I mean, more divisions can only help the sport. So hopefully that's something that the UFC at least entertains in the near future. But again, congratulations to Curtis Blaydes. He gets the job done again. Round 2 TKO versus Chris Daukaus. An outstanding performance, barely utilizes wrestling. So congratulations to Mr. Blaydes, and we hope to see him again in the octagon soon. But it was clear if you watched the fight night on Saturday night that the man the people came to see was Matt Brown, the legend. He came up just short in a fight that was undoubtedly the fight of the night in my books versus Brian Barberena. But let me get your thoughts on the ageless one, Kyle. I mean, he looked outstanding. Some people were calling robbery. I personally had Barberena winning this one. I'm excited to get your opinion. I mean, what do you think of Matt Brown? Again, looking far from finished here.
Yeah, they don't call him the immortal one for no reason. But yeah, he looked good. Maybe I think in the later rounds his gas tank kind of failed him a little bit. Maybe the age, keeping your cardio at a higher age like that might be a little bit tougher than say a younger guy. But those first 2 rounds he looked good. I personally had him winning. I thought he had 2 rounds to 1, but close fight. I don't think it's a robbery. I think Barberena did just enough to maybe edge him out, but we've seen over the last few fights that control hasn't really won fights, and in this fight it didn't win it. So I'm very curious to how it just brings another topic. How do these judges score cards? Like, it must be personal preference, I guess. Some judges score grappling and that higher, some judges score striking, but maybe that's another decision or another talk for another time.
I mean, again, it's so inconsistent. I mean, make a case for Barberena that he did almost have him out of there at the end of the 3rd round. Like, he had Matt Brown hanging out for dear life in those dying seconds. But yeah, I mean, again, we've seen fights where we've seen fights where champions have just held the people down with control, and somehow the judges seem to favor that over striking. So again, very inconsistent. We've been pushing live scoring here on the show. Get live scoring. Get live scoring. But based on what we saw from Matt Brown Saturday night, Kyle Allen, do we see him in the UFC again?
I think so. It was a close enough fight. Like, if he would have got starched or something like that in the first round, then you might be questioning his career and if he should just be done. But he looked good. I think he can definitely fight some of these guys in the welterweight division. Now, I don't think he's going to be pushing for a title shot or anything like that, but maybe he's not quite like a Glover Teixeira or anything at that level to climb up, win a belt or at that age. But I think he still can definitely beat some of these top guys in the welterweight division.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, hey, I don't think he's looking for 5-round fights, period. So I think we want to see Matt Brown again. The Great Canadian Fight Show wants to see Matt Brown again. Hopefully we get it. Let's talk about the winner, though, Bryan Barberena, who did not deserve to get booed on Saturday night. I mean, he had an outstanding performance again. Really laid it on. Matt Brown almost took him out of there, as I mentioned, in the 3rd round. He just fought his last fight on his UFC contract, Kyle. Do we see Bryan Barberena fight again?
I think so. I think the UFC will re-sign him. I don't know if he's ranked. Is he ranked?
I don't believe he is.
Yeah. And I'm assuming Matt Brown isn't ranked either, obviously. Yeah, they're both not ranked. But yeah, I think it just adds to the pool of welterweight. Already a stacked welterweight is a very, like, just look at the rankings, like 1 to 15 is when you have Shavkat or Rachmanov. Sorry, my pronunciation was a little bit off there. But yeah, when you have him at number 15 and Usman at number 1, like, that's a stacked division. So
it is.
And then if you add some talent below that, and you're looking like a very good division. So I definitely think UFC will re-sign him just to keep the talent coming.
I hope so too. I mean, another very exciting, journeyman fighter. That is a great, filler on a card and a great way to top up an undercard for a strong pay-per-view or as middle of the main card for a solid fight night. Bryan Barberena belongs in the UFC, and we really hope to see him again. So congratulations to both those men. They did win the UFC Fight of the Night honors, well deserving. So we hope to see them again in the octagon very, very soon. The 3rd fight of the card, Kyle, was the one that I personally was the most excited for. Kai Kara-France versus Askarov, which had major title implications in the UFC flyweight division. What did you think of the fight, and did you agree with the outcome?
Yeah, I agreed with the outcome, and I thought it was a good fight. Early on, I thought Askarov was it looked like he was gonna be dominant like usual and take Kai Kara-France out there real quick. He had him. He was on Kai Kara-France's back for quite a while. Had him in some dangerous spots, but he was able to weather the storm. Second round, it was still a little bit Askarov in the beginning, but later on you kind of see Kai France taking over. Third round, I think it was all Kai France. So I think it was the right decision. And yeah, Kai France keeps impressing, and he's definitely one to keep an eye out for in this featherweight division.
Absolutely. I mean, I picked him to win. Again, just shows my wisdom and my knowledge for the MMA fight game. And no, I'm just kidding. But what impressed me the most, Kyle, about Kai France, in all seriousness, was just how calm he was under pressure. Like, as you mentioned, Askarov had him in some tough spots early on. Like, he had him fully wrapped from the back, almost in a rear naked choke. Then he was on his back and was giving him a piggyback ride around the ring. Just his ability to stay calm under all that pressure and to just focus on slowly getting detached from the submission step by step, not freaking out, not panicking. I was very impressed by Kai France. Yeah, I mean, I am hoping to see him in that title shot next. I would personally have him in the title shot net over Brandon Moreno. Would you? I mean, do you think he's did enough on Saturday night to kind of make the UFC second guess their decision to have a quadrilogy?
Yeah, just to go back on your point about the how calm he was and stuff like that, I think it's just a testament to city kickboxing. You see all these fighters and they're always so composed. Like obviously Adesanya is like the main one.
Yeah.
Even Volkanovski, you saw him in his last fight in a super dangerous spot against Brian Ortega, able to get out of it, able to stay calm, stay composed. And I think city kickboxing is just teaching a little bit more than just like fighting and striking and stuff like that. They're definitely using some like mental coaching and stuff like that. And I think that's probably their edge on most other gyms, and that's why it makes them so successful. But
those are fantastic points, Kyle. I'm glad you highlighted that because yeah, you're right. City kickboxing for a long time has been seen as a kickboxing phenomenon gym. And man, can they defend takedowns? I mean, hey, Israel Adesanya, one of the best takedown defenders in the game. I mean, he makes it look easy. Everybody talks shit saying they're going to take him down. It's easier said than done for sure.
yeah, I saw some video and they were like in the ocean, like doing some like breathing exercises like underwater and stuff like that. So cool. I don't think most gyms are doing that. And I think it sounds maybe a little silly, a little like far out there, but it shows in their fights and it shows how calm they're able to stay. So they're doing something over there, right? For sure.
Men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. I mean, they're killing it right now. It's hey, they've got several champions in there. They got a champion kickboxer. They've got a former champion rugby player, both at the top of their games, both champions, and many guys that are on the come up, like Kai France. Let's talk about Askarov, though. Again, he suffered the first loss of his career on Saturday night. Do you think he got exposed, or do you see him kind of bouncing back quickly from this one?
I don't think he got exposed. I think he'll bounce back. He's a very good fighter, and like you saw in the first round, like he anyone that couldn't stay that composed is like that guy would be out of there real quick. So I still think he's a dangerous guy in this division, and I definitely see him coming back and bouncing back from this and getting another win after this and being right there in the title picture as well.
Absolutely. I mean, both these guys are absolutely brilliant. I mean, I don't know who I'd put against Kara France next. I mean, I don't know if he wants to fight or if he's just going to sit around and wait. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think he waits till the fall for his title shot, or do you think he puts it all on the line against Alexandre Pantoja maybe, or what's your take on it?
Like you were saying before about him versus Figueiredo. I think it wouldn't be a bad call if they made that fight instead, but there's still a lot of unanswered questions with Moreno and Figueiredo. The last fight was super close. The fight before that, he finished him obviously, and then the first fight was close as well. So you don't see too many fights go to a fourth fight like that and have unanswered questions, but this one does. So personally, I would like to see that one resolved first, and then maybe do a Kai France. Whoever wins that, do Kai France in later this year.
Absolutely. Great suggestions, Kyle. I mean, we'd love to see it, folks. This flyweight division, don't sleep on it. Very, very exciting division. The amount of blows and shots that are thrown by these guys, the output by these guys, the cardio shown by these fighters, unbelievable. This is definitely one of the more underrated divisions in the UFC, in my humble opinion. Other shout outs here from the card on Saturday night. Neil Magny picks up the unanimous decision as well. Kyle, let me get your thoughts on that fight. Neil Magny again picking up the unanimous decision over Max Griffin. Actually, sorry, it was a split decision over Max Griffin. My apologies, folks. Let me get your thoughts on quick thoughts on that fight, Kyle.
Yeah, overall it was a good fight. I thought Neil Magny didn't look quite as good as he normally does. I think he's had a little bit of time off. Maybe he looked slightly rusty. He got clipped a few times in the fight, got rocked, but he was still able to do enough to kind of get Max Griffin out of there, or not out of there, but put enough pressure on him to win the fight and to get it done. But he called out Hamzat after that. I don't know about that fight, unless Hamzat loses in 2 weeks, but yeah, I don't know about that fight anymore.
Yeah, or unless he goes on a major bender with Darren Till and they do a bunch of shrooms and somehow like convinces him that taking a fight with Neil Magny is a good idea. But I don't see it happening either, buddy. Let's keep moving to Diakese, full name Mark Diakese, pulling out the unanimous decision in the opener of the fight night versus Vyacheslav Borshev. Folks, if you're going to skip a fight on the card, make it this one. This was an absolute snoozer. Diakese just held him down, did what he had to do to the many, many boos in the crowd. Not much to say about this one. Kyle, anything you want to
add? No. Diakese looked a little bit better than Borshev. I think I'm interested to see Diakese. I don't know if he has enough to kind of make it up the lightweight division, because that division's already so stacked. But I mean, if he can put together a couple more wins, like maybe he can get in there with the top 15 guy and test his skills a little bit more. But yeah, not too much shown from this fight that really impressed me. So
he saved his career. You know, man's got to eat. He did what he had to do to win. Respect. And Borshev, again, he's part of that strong team alpha male. He's got Uriah Faber in his corner giving him some good tips. So we know that he's definitely going to be back. Last shout out, Alexa Grosso picking up the first round submission over Joanne Wood. I mean, yeah, not much to say about this one. Again, Joanne Wood, can't seem to do it against any real top fighters. I think she's going to hang in there just because it's a fairly weak flyweight division there. But another one, folks, that if you could miss a couple fights in the card, it'd be this one and the Diakese fight. Kyle?
Yeah, if anything stood out in this fight, Grosso looked good. She just submitted her in the first round, was able to get her into a rear naked choke position and choke her out pretty easily, I would say. So I think she's one to watch in this division. I just want to look at the rankings, so see how she went, if she went up. So she's already up to number 5, but she went up 4 spots, which is pretty interesting. But yeah, another one that I don't know if they can beat Shevchenko or anything, but maybe give her one more fight if she can easily get through one more fight. Like, I don't know if she's fought Lauren Murphy, but if you gave her like a Lauren Murphy or a Caitlin Choogian, and she can submit one of them like real quick, then she's probably in the spot for a title shot against Shevchenko, or a slaughter. But never say never.
Hey, Juliana Pena, never say never. But that puts a bow, folks, on UFC Fight Night, Daukaus versus Blaydes. We're going to get right into our great Canadian picks for performance of the night. I got you on this one, Kyle. Yes, that's right, folks. I got him on this one. So I'm going to give myself first pick for performance of the night. And I'm going with Kai Kara-France. Again, third fight from the main. Very, very strange, because this one probably had the most title implications on the whole card. I thought Mr. Kara-France, again, looked fantastic. Didn't have that signature finish that we're used to seeing from him, but he looked outstanding under pressure against a very, very dangerous Askarov. So he's my performance of the night winner.
I'm going to throw you a curveball on this one. I'm going to go with one we didn't even talk about. I'm going to go with on a prelim fight. I'm going to go with Chris Gutierrez, which had a sick spinning elbow or spinning back fist knockout of Dana Batagral. Yeah, he looked pretty good, and it was a pretty sweet TKO. So I'm gonna go with him as performance of the night. He might be an interesting one to watch at bantamweight. Again, these prelims, I try to watch most of them. Sometimes I miss them. I'm guilty, but when you do catch them, you get some surprises. So this one surprised me. I thought this guy had a good performance, and I want to see him some more and see how he does.
Excellent, Kyle. We're going to get into our great Canadian pick for fight of the night now, and I'm going to let you have the honors for this one.
I'm not going to throw a curveball on this one, but I'm going to go with the Matt Brown and Barberena fight. It's probably the best fight on the card. Kai Kara-France and Askarov probably being the second best fight on the card. But I think that was like a war, more of a war, and more exciting, more a fan favorite fight. And Matt Brown's always exciting, even though he lost. That's my fight of the night. What about you?
I can't disagree with you on this one, Kyle. I mean, that is my absolute fight of the night. Two absolute studs duking it out. I can picture the guy with the Just Bleed painted all over his chest, just being so proud to watch that one. It was a great fight. It was the standout for fight of the night. They get the UFC bonus, and even more valuable than the UFC bonus, they get the great Canadian pick for the fight of the night. So again, that puts a bow once more on the fight night. And now we're going to get into the news. First news topic of the evening. We've got Jorge Masvidal arrested for sucker punching Covington outside of a restaurant in Miami. Kyle Allen, let me get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I've been kind of following this all week and trying to getting different takes on what people thought about it. It's tough. I can see it like both ways, but I still think both are in the wrong. Like Kobe can't go around and just talk shit and never expect anything ever to happen to him outside or something like that. But going up and cheap shotting someone is another thing. I don't think, if anything, you go in there and like you say, like show up and surprise them, and then you get into a fight and then see what happens. But to sucker punch someone after you went 25 minutes with them and you couldn't do anything against the guy, I think it's a little cheap. But also Kobe pressing charges on it is a little, I don't know. It's a tough topic, but I think Masvidal is slightly more in the wrong than Kobe, but still two wrongs don't make a right, I guess.
Hey, look, Masvidal, at the end of the day, Ben Askren said it best. He had 25 minutes in a cage with this guy, and he couldn't get it done, and he sneaks up on him outside of a restaurant. I mean, I'm definitely leaning on Kobe Covington here. I mean, you just don't do that. So I'm thinking Masvidal was definitely in the wrong for this. Hope he doesn't serve a lot of jail time, because I don't wish that on anybody, but can't be doing that in the middle of the street, no matter how A-list, no matter how big you are. Just my humble opinion. Yeah. News update number 2. We've got some drama, Kyle Allen, in the Moreno versus Fig quadrilogy buildup. One of Moreno's teammates, this one is a bit painful to read here. One of Moreno's teammates put a monkey filter on Figueiredo's body during a live stream, which caused Figueiredo to reach out to the UFC and demand a fight not against Moreno, but instead against Kai Kara-France due to racism. Is this something, or is this nothing to you? Do you think the UFC is going to overlook this and kind of work this out?
I think the UFC will overlook it and probably still do the trilogy fight. I don't know how much how much say he has in this, but I mean, it's a pretty shady thing to do. It's, in my opinion, it's bad taste to do something like that. Like, if anything, make it funny, make it clever, but that's just a little bit like poor taste of Moreno's team. So I don't hate if they do Kai Kara-France, but I still think I'd rather see Moreno versus Figueiredo. So hopefully they figure it out. Maybe Moreno will apologize like a nice guy he is, and they'll get this going.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. Let's get a clear apology. I mean, I saw somewhat of an interview of him. It kind of seemed like a bit of a half-ass apology. He was more defending his teammate. It was poor taste. I mean, we're in 2022. You can't do anything like that. I mean, it's just not funny. It's just not what you do. But I'm right. We want to see a definite end to this rivalry here. We want to see a winner and a loser. Enough of this split decision. Let me get a KO for that fourth fight, right, Kyle? It's not too much to ask.
Yeah, and then on the do it as a co-main, then do the Max Holloway versus Volkanovski in the main, and get these fights figured out.
Get it over with. News update number 3. Nate Diaz has acted as asked to be released from the UFC amidst his frustrations for not being able to get a fight booked. Do you think there's any chance that Nathan Diaz leaves the UFC and fights somewhere else?
I don't see the UFC releasing him or anything. I think that would be a very dumb move by the UFC, but it's hard to say who's like pulling the strings here and who's actually wrong, who's actually right in this one. But if the UFC is actually not giving him fights and they're not setting up with fights, and yeah, it's kind of, the UFC definitely needs to figure this out, get him a big fight. But who knows? It could be on Nate Diaz's side. Maybe he's only wanting selected fights and stuff like that. So I really don't know who's right and who's wrong on this one, but get this man a fight. Like, come on. Everyone wants to say Nate Diaz. Just let him fight. At least fight one more fight in his career, in his UFC contract, and then maybe go from there, or maybe let him go after that. But we need to see him once more. Him versus Connor. Come on.
Oh man, I can't disagree with you, man. We need to see him once more, and not against one of these top contenders that, with all due respect to Nate, he has no chance of beating. Let's get him in a gimmick fight against another top name. Conor McGregor is the name. That's the fight. Come on, don't put him up against Usman.
I think it's been long enough where they could just do that fight and it would still sell like so many pay-per-views. Just hype it up. Hype it up, and man, they could, for sure, they could do it.
I'm going to throw you a little curveball here. We're done with the news updates, folks, since we've already discussed Will Smith and the slap heard around the world. WrestleMania, Kyle, coming up this weekend, Saturday and Sunday night. It's a 2-night event. And in honor of WrestleMania, I would like you to give us your top WrestleMania moment. I know you were a WWE fan growing up.
I got to go back through memory lane here. I can't think of like the specific matchups. I watched so many WrestleManias that I'm trying to think of, but it would definitely have to be like one of the Rock versus Stone Cold at WrestleMania. I can't remember which specific. Did they ever have like an I Quit match at WrestleMania? Or maybe that was a different event, but one of the Rock versus Stone Cold WrestleMania moments is definitely probably up there in my favorite.
Yeah, it's become my favorite now as an adult. As a kid, it was probably my least favorite. It's crazy how it can turn like that. But it was when The Rock fought Stone Cold, and Stone Cold aligned himself with Vince McMahon. I don't know if you remember that one, but McMahon came out and gave him the chair, and then they beat the crap out of The Rock with it. And after they had the handshake, and you got JR screaming, "Austin shaking hands with the devil himself," and it was just so badass. Oh, it's one of these like moments where the time stood still. And WrestleMania again this Saturday, Sunday, folks. For you WWE fans, this is the nights. Now it's 2 nights.
We might have to maybe do a little mini recap next week for you guys. Since there's not too much going on this weekend, maybe we can do a little recap for the WWE fans out there, and in the future maybe dive into a little WWE here and there.
We could absolutely talk about WWE and AEW. Both these promotions are keeping us outstandingly entertained. I even said outstandingly, which is not a word, folks, but we're rolling with it, because that puts a bow on episode 19 of the Great Canadian Fight Show. As usual, it's been a pleasure to talk fights with you, Kyle, and to discuss fights for all of you, our viewers. Again, if you like our content, goes without saying, like and subscribe and leave comments. Let us know what we're doing wrong, or if we missed anything, or if there's any ideas that you have for the show. Again, we are a growing podcast, and we're always open to some feedback. Kyle Allen, did you have any last say before we sign it off?
Not too much. Yeah, same thing. Like and subscribe. We're always putting out new content, trying new things. So stay tuned. Like our channel. And we're always going to be trying to put out new things, like we talked, maybe into WWE if the fans are interested in that. So, just stay tuned, and we're going to keep going and see where this takes us.
It's been another episode of the Great Canadian Fight Show. Thank you very much, folks, and we will see you next week.